In December 2025, a brief official announcement from Chanel Beauty sent shockwaves through the global fashion and entertainment industries. The French luxury house confirmed that Jungkook of BTS had been appointed as its new global brand ambassador for Chanel Beauty, marking a pivotal moment not only in Jungkook's career, but also in how luxury brands position K-pop artists on the world stage. There were no dramatic countdowns, no elaborate press conference. Yet within minutes, the news dominated headlines across Asia, Europe, and North America. Social media platforms erupted with reactions from fans, fashion critics, industry analysts, and cultural commentators, each recognizing the significance of what had just occurred. This was not merely a brand endorsement. It was a statement. For years, luxury brands cautiously navigated collaborations with K-pop idols. While many idols became regional ambassadors, global ambassadorships, especially in beauty, remained rare and carefully guarded. Chanel's decision to appoint Jungkook in late 2025 was widely interpreted as strategic and symbolic. Jungkook had just entered his post-military era, a period often regarded as a second debut for Korean male artists. Instead of retreating into cautious reintroduction, Jungkook emerged with a calmer presence, refined public image, and a noticeably mature aura. Qualities highly valued in the luxury beauty sector. Industry insiders noted that Chanel Beauty was not chasing hype, but long-term cultural relevance. Jungkook debuted with BTS in 2013 as the youngest member, talented, reserved, and still discovering his voice. Over the years, he transformed into a global performer whose influence extended far beyond music charts. By the early 2020s, Jungkook had become one of the most searched K-pop artists worldwide, a dominant figure in global streaming platforms, a frequent trendsetter in fashion and grooming discussions. Yet what set Jungkook apart was restraint. He rarely chased trends, he rarely overexposed himself, and he maintained a sense of mystery even at the peak of global fame. Luxury brands noticed. Chanel Beauty has long upheld a philosophy of timeless elegance over fleeting trends. Historically, the brand favored classic Western celebrities or fashion elites. However, by 2025, global beauty markets had shifted dramatically. Asia accounted for a significant portion of luxury beauty sales. Younger consumers valued authenticity and emotional connection. Cultural influence now traveled digitally, not geographically. Jungkook represented all three. His clean yet expressive visuals, combined with his reputation for artistic sincerity, aligned seamlessly with Chanel Beauty's evolving global identity. When Chanel Beauty confirmed Jungkook as global ambassador, the response was immediate and measurable. Within 24 hours, Chanel Beauty-related searches surged globally. Jungkook-related keywords trended across multiple regions. Fashion editorials labeled the move a defining moment for luxury branding. Notably, the announcement emphasized beauty, not fashion, signaling Chanel's intention to reposition beauty as a central pillar of its global strategy. One of the most discussed aspects of Jungkook's ambassadorship was his tattoos, long a topic of conversation among fans and media. Rather than conceal them, Chanel Beauty's visual campaigns subtly embraced Jungkook's individuality, sparking conversations about changing beauty standards for men, the evolving image of masculinity in luxury advertising, authentic self-expression in global branding. For many observers, this marked a cultural shift. Luxury was no longer about perfection, it was about presence. Army reactions ranged from emotional pride to analytical discussion. Many fans viewed the partnership as validation of Jungkook's journey, especially after years of intense scrutiny and pressure. Common fan sentiments included recognition of Jungkook's artistic integrity, appreciation for a brand that allowed him to remain himself, excitement about seeing him redefine beauty norms. Importantly, the reaction was not limited to fans. Casual observers and fashion enthusiasts joined the conversation, amplifying the news beyond K-pop circles. Global media framed the ambassadorship as a milestone in K-pop's integration into luxury branding, evidence of Jungkook's standalone cultural power, a case study in post-military career strategy. Business analysts noted that Jungkook's influence was not built on controversy or shock value, but consistency and emotional connection, a rare asset in modern branding. Following military discharge, Jungkook adopted a noticeably quieter public approach. Unlike some artists who immediately flooded media channels, Jungkook remained selective. This restraint amplified the impact of each appearance. By the time Chanel Beauty announced him as ambassador, Jungkook's image felt fresh but familiar, mature yet approachable, global but deeply personal. Industry experts emphasized that this partnership was not designed as a short-term campaign. Chanel Beauty positioned Jungkook as a long-term face of the brand, hinting at future global campaigns, digital storytelling, and cross-cultural initiatives. The collaboration signaled confidence, not just in Jungkook's popularity, but in his enduring relevance. Jungkook's appointment as global ambassador for Chanel Beauty is more than a career highlight. It represents a turning point. From a teenage trainee to a global luxury icon, Jungkook's journey reflects the globalization of Korean culture. The transformation of celebrity influenced the redefinition of masculinity and beauty in modern media. As 2025 draws to a close, one thing is clear: Jungkook is no longer just part of the conversation, he is shaping it. Within weeks of Jungkook's appointment as global ambassador, the business impact of the collaboration became increasingly visible. While Chanel does not publicly disclose detailed sales figures, market analysts observe notable shifts in consumer behavior tied directly to Jungkook's presence. Luxury beauty retailers across Asia reported increased engagement with Chanel Beauty products, particularly among younger demographics. Online platforms showed spikes in search interest, not only for Jungkook's name but also for specific Chanel Beauty lines featured in early campaign visuals. What stood out most to analysts was conversion speed. Consumers were not merely engaging with content, they were purchasing. This phenomenon, often referred to in marketing as the trust transfer effect, demonstrated how Jungkook's credibility translated seamlessly into brand confidence. In the luxury sector, where trust is cultivated over decades, this kind of immediate response was rare. Historically, male ambassadors in the beauty industry were often limited to fragrance or grooming categories. Jungkook's role with Chanel Beauty subtly but firmly challenged that framework. Campaign imagery positioned him not as a secondary figure, but as a central representation of beauty itself: calm, expressive, and emotionally resonant. The messaging avoided exaggerated masculinity, instead embracing softness, vulnerability, and quiet confidence. Cultural commentators noted that Jungkook's ambassadorship reflected a broader shift in global attitudes toward male beauty. His presence normalized skincare, self-care, and aesthetic expression for men without framing it as novelty. This was not a campaign asking men to change, it was a campaign allowing them to be seen. One of the most striking aspects of this partnership was Jungkook's restrained communication. There were no long personal statements, no behind-the-scenes oversharing, and no aggressive promotional language. Instead, Jungkook allowed the visuals and the brand to speak. This silence was not absence. It was strategy. By choosing when to appear and when to remain quiet, Jungkook reinforced the sense of intention surrounding every move. In an era defined by constant exposure, his selectiveness amplified the value of each public moment. Luxury thrives on scarcity, and Jungkook embodied that principle naturally. For many fans, Jungkook's global ambassadorship carried emotional significance beyond brand affiliation. It symbolized recognition, not only of Jungkook's achievements, but of the global fan community that supported him through years of growth. Fans across continents expressed a sense of shared pride, interpreting the partnership as validation of Jungkook's journey from an underestimated trainee to a global figure trusted by one of the world's most prestigious brands. Importantly, this emotional ownership did not manifest as possessiveness. Instead, it emerged as celebration. Fans understood that Jungkook's evolution required expansion, new spaces, new audiences, and new definitions of success. In many ways, the partnership marked a collective milestone. Jungkook's appointment sent a clear message to the global luxury industry. K-pop artists were no longer niche influencers or regional ambassadors. They were central figures in global brand narratives. More importantly, the collaboration demonstrated that longevity mattered more than virality. Jungkook was chosen not because of a temporary trend, but because of sustained relevance built over more than a decade. For K-pop as an industry, this partnership represented a shift from novelty to permanence. It suggested a future where artists are evaluated not by genre or origin, but by cultural impact, emotional resonance, and global trust. And at the center of that shift stood Jungkook, quietly, confidently, and undeniably. Jungkook's return from military service marked a subtle but deliberate reset in how he engaged with the public. Rather than immediately resuming high-frequency appearances, he adopted a measured rhythm, carefully choosing moments that carried meaning rather than noise. This approach aligned seamlessly with Chanel Beauty's philosophy. Luxury, after all, is built not on saturation but on intention. Each public appearance, whether through official visuals or brief acknowledgments, carried weight precisely because of its rarity. Observers noted that Jungkook appeared more grounded, more composed, and more self-assured than ever before, a reflection of personal growth shaped during his time away from the spotlight. Chanel Beauty did not attempt to rewrite Jungkook's story. Instead, the brand amplified the narrative already present. A young artist who grew up under global attention and emerged with quiet confidence. Campaign language avoided exaggeration. Visuals favored natural lighting, minimal styling, and intimate framing. This allowed Jungkook's expressions, rather than overt branding, to carry emotional resonance. The result was a campaign that felt less like advertising and more like storytelling, reinforcing the idea that true luxury lies in authenticity. While Jungkook himself remained selective in online engagement, digital platforms played a significant role in amplifying the collaboration. Fans and media dissected campaign imagery, color palettes, and even Jungkook's posture. This organic analysis transformed static visuals into living narratives. Algorithms amplified content not because it was pushed aggressively, but because audiences engaged deeply. For Chanel Beauty, this represented a shift away from traditional ad spend toward cultural virality rooted in meaning, a model increasingly sought after by global brands. One of the most compelling outcomes of the ambassadorship was its cross-generational appeal. Younger fans were drawn to Jungkook's familiarity, while older consumers responded to the campaign's restraint and elegance. Luxury retailers reported interest from demographics that previously showed limited engagement with K-pop-related branding. Jungkook became a bridge, connecting different age groups, regions, and cultural sensibilities. This broadened reach underscored his value not just as a celebrity, but as a cultural connector. Fashion editors and luxury consultants widely praised Chanel Beauty's choice. Many described Jungkook as unexpected yet inevitable, a figure whose global presence had long surpassed conventional categories. Several insiders highlighted Jungkook's ability to maintain dignity under intense scrutiny as a key factor in his appeal. In an industry sensitive to reputation, consistency and restraint were invaluable assets. The consensus was clear. This was not a risk. It was a calculated evolution. The Jungkook-Chanel Beauty partnership exemplified the growing importance of emotional branding. Rather than selling a product, the campaign invited audiences into a feeling, calm, confidence, and self-acceptance. This approach resonated particularly in a post-pandemic, post-digital exhaustion era, where consumers increasingly sought meaning over spectacle. Jungkook's presence made that emotional invitation credible. His history of vulnerability and growth allowed audiences to trust the narrative being presented. Unlike earlier eras of global branding, Jungkook's ambassadorship did not rely on cultural novelty. His identity was not exoticized or simplified for Western audiences. Instead, Chanel Beauty presented Jungkook as he is, an artist shaped by Korean culture, but fully global in outlook. This subtlety was widely praised for avoiding stereotypes and respecting cultural nuance. It marked a maturation in how global brands engage with Asian figures, not as trends, but as equals. When compared to other global ambassadors in the luxury beauty space, Jungkook's journey stood out for its organic progression. His influence grew gradually, built on years of artistic output and public trust. Unlike influencers whose relevance is often platform-dependent, Jungkook's appeal transcended medium. Whether through music, performance, or silence, his presence remained impactful. This durability reassured Chanel Beauty of his long-term value. Every element of the campaign, from wardrobe to framing, was carefully curated. Neutral tones, understated makeup, and minimal set design emphasized intimacy over grandeur. Jungkook's expressions became the focal point, inviting viewers to pause rather than scroll. In a digital landscape driven by speed, this visual stillness felt radical. The campaign did not demand attention. It earned it. Fan conversations evolved beyond excitement into analysis. Discussions focused on themes of maturity, self-acceptance, and artistic evolution. These conversations extended into broader cultural spaces, blurring the line between fandom discourse and cultural commentary. Jungkook's ambassadorship became a reference point in discussions about modern masculinity and global identity. Unlike short-lived announcements, coverage of Jungkook's ambassadorship unfolded over weeks. Each new image or mention reignited discussion, extending the news cycle organically. This sustained attention reflected genuine interest rather than manufactured hype. Media outlets recognized that audiences were not fatigued, they were engaged at its core. The partnership worked because of alignment. Jungkook's values, discipline, sincerity, and artistic focus mirrored Chanel Beauty's emphasis on craftsmanship and heritage. There was no visible dissonance between artist and brand. The collaboration felt inevitable, as though both had arrived at the same moment independently. Consistency had always been Jungkook's defining trait. Over more than a decade, he maintained professionalism, avoided public controversy, and prioritized his craft and the luxury world. Consistency builds trust. Jungkook's track record reassured stakeholders that the partnership would remain stable and respected. The success of this ambassadorship set a precedent. Brands began reevaluating how they approached artist partnerships, prioritizing depth over reach, narrative over noise. For future K-pop artists, Jungkook's path illustrated that global recognition did not require abandoning authenticity. As the year 2025 came to a close, Jungkook's role as global ambassador for Chanel Beauty stood as one of the defining moments of his post-military era. Not because it was loud, not because it was controversial, but because it was earned.